They say success in trading is about money, but let me tell you the truth, it's not. It's about survival obsession and the ability to sit alone while the whole world screams in panic. And no story defines this better than the silent war between BNF, the Japanese lone wolf trader, and the towering empire that is Wall Street. Two worlds, one goal, profit, but two completely different philosophies. They say there are two kinds of traders in this world, those who follow the noise, and those who listen to silence. Between these two extremes lies the great divide that separates BNF from Wall Street. One is a solitary man in a modest Tokyo apartment, trading alone, without assistance, without the comfort of a team, without even speaking much to anyone. The other is a global empire, a system that stretches across time zones, powered by armies of analysts, billion-dollar funds, and machines that execute trades faster than the blink of an eye. These are not merely two trading styles. They are two different worlds of success, born from two different philosophies about what it means to win in the market. Wall Street breathes ambition. Its skyscrapers stand as monuments to capitalism's confidence, tall, shining, and unshakable. The traders within wear tailored suits, fueled by caffeine and competition, chasing market movements with aggressive precision. Every screen flashes with charts, headlines, and algorithms predicting microsecond opportunities. There is no room for pause, no time for hesitation. Here, every trade is a battle between hundreds of minds and millions of dollars, where decisions are made not by instinct but by systems, strategies, and speed. Success in this world is built through scale. To win, one must dominate. To survive, one must be faster than everyone else. But far from those glowing towers, there sits a quiet man named Takashi Kotegawa, known to the world simply as BNF. No office, no noise, no team. Just a single computer, a fast internet connection, and a mind sharper than the most advanced algorithm on Wall Street. His trading world doesn't revolve around chaos. It revolves around clarity. Where Wall Street thrives on movement, BNF thrives on stillness. He doesn't chase opportunities, he waits for them to come within his narrow circle of understanding. In a world obsessed with doing more, BNF mastered the art of doing less, but doing it perfectly. The difference between these two worlds is not just about scale, it's about philosophy. Wall Street believes in collective intelligence, in teams of experts analyzing endless streams of data to predict trends. BNF believes in personal mastery, in understanding one's own mind before trying to understand the market. Wall Street trusts in systems, BNF trusts in discipline. While the Wall Street trader debates over inflation reports, oil prices, and central bank policy, BNF watches human emotion unfold on the charts. Every candle, every volume spike, every sudden dip. To him, it's not just numbers, it's a pulse. A heartbeat of collective psychology. BNF's world is built on solitude, and that solitude is his superpower. When you trade alone, there is no one to blame. Every loss, every gain, every hesitation, it's all a reflection of yourself. That's why his trading desk doesn't need 10 monitors or a team of advisors. His greatest asset isn't technology, it's focus. He sees what others miss, not because he has more information, but because he filters out the noise. He waits until the opportunity becomes so clear it almost feels inevitable. This patience, this almost meditative approach, separates him completely from the pulse of Wall Street, which often mistakes speed for skill. And yet both worlds succeed, just differently. Wall Street's success comes from coordination, from combining the intelligence of thousands of minds into one unified strategy. BNF's success comes from consistency, from aligning his thoughts, emotions, and actions with razor-sharp precision. It's like the difference between an orchestra and a soloist. Wall Street is the orchestra, grand and complex, playing a symphony of finance. BNF is the solo violinist alone on stage, producing something equally powerful through simplicity and control. Both create music, but one does it through volume, the other through purity. This contrast is what makes the comparison so fascinating. Wall Street represents everything external: money, power, prestige, and size. BNF represents everything internal: patience, discipline, and self-control. Wall Street seeks to outsmart the market. BNF seeks to understand it. Wall Street uses formulas to calculate probability. BNF uses intuition sharpened by years of observation. And while one side may seem more glamorous, it's the quiet side that often leaves the most lasting lessons. When you strip away the technology, the teams, and the noise, the market becomes what it truly is: a mirror. It reflects not the economy, but human behavior. And in that reflection, BNF saw something Wall Street often misses: that success doesn't come from dominating the market, but from aligning with it, from accepting its rhythm instead of trying to control it, from knowing when to act and when to simply watch. BNF vs. Wall Street isn't a story of competition. It's a story of contrast. Two different worlds, two different definitions of success, one fueled by external power, the other by internal mastery. And in the end, both serve as a reminder that the real difference between winning and losing isn't about where you trade or how big your capital is. It's about who you are when you trade. That's why this first lesson matters most. It reminds us that greatness doesn't always need a crowd. Sometimes it only needs silence, discipline, and the courage to believe that one man alone can still stand toe to toe with the giants of Wall Street and win. Simplicity. It sounds ordinary, almost too easy to take seriously. Yet in the world of trading, simplicity is often the rarest and most powerful weapon a person can have. BNF, Japan's legendary trader, built his empire not by chasing every strategy, every trend, or every market whisper. He built it by doing one thing, and doing it better than anyone else. His success stands as living proof that clarity can outshine complexity, that sometimes the simplest approach is the one that survives the longest. Wall Street thrives on complexity. Inside its glass towers, teams of analysts and engineers design trading models that use millions of variables. They chase every piece of news, every tick of data, every rumor that might give them a half-second advantage. Layers of strategy overlap, from derivatives to high-frequency trading to algorithmic arbitrage. Success is measured by how advanced your system is, how many signals your AI can process, how many PhDs you've hired to interpret the chaos. It's a world where simplicity is often mistaken for weakness, and where everyone believes that the next big breakthrough lies in more data, more speed, more sophistication. BNF's world couldn't be more different. He sits alone with just a few screens, no fancy software, no predictive models, only charts, numbers, and his disciplined observation. To him, the market isn't a puzzle to be solved by algorithms. It's a living organism that reveals itself through patterns of emotion. He doesn't try to predict the future. He simply reads the present with clarity. Where Wall Street uses complexity to feel in control, BNF uses simplicity to stay in control. That's the difference. Simplicity gives power because it removes noise. Every trader is tempted by the idea that adding more tools or more analysis will increase accuracy, but often it only adds confusion. BNF knew that. He stripped his process down until only the essential remained. He focused on timing, price movement, and volume, the raw signals of human behavior. He believed that the more you add, the less you see. And that's true beyond trading. It's true in life. Complexity is comforting because it gives the illusion of sophistication, but simplicity brings truth. Wall Street is like a massive orchestra playing 1,000 instruments at once, each one competing for volume. It's impressive, but also chaotic. BNF, on the other hand, is the lone pianist, every note intentional, every pause deliberate. When he trades, it's not reaction, it's rhythm. He waits for the market to breathe, to move naturally, and then he acts. His strength lies not in predicting what comes next, but in waiting for the right moment to strike. The moment when probability aligns perfectly with patience. What makes simplicity so powerful is that it keeps your mind calm. When you have too many systems, too many variables, you're always second guessing. You think you're making data-driven decisions, but you're actually trading your doubt. BNF's simplicity eliminated doubt. His method was so well practiced, so well understood, that he could execute it without hesitation. He didn't need to constantly question his analysis. He had already mastered his system. It was muscle memory. And in the battlefield of trading, where hesitation kills faster than losses, simplicity becomes a weapon of precision. Wall Street often mocks simplicity. They call it outdated or naive. But let's remember, it was simplicity that allowed BNF to see what thousands of professionals missed during Japan's 2005 trading chaos. While others panicked and overanalyzed the situation, he saw a clear, simple opportunity: a mispriced stock caused by a technical error. He didn't need a complex algorithm to recognize it. He needed only focus. That single moment earned him over 20 million. Not because he was faster, but because he was clearer. There's a strange irony here. The more advanced markets become, the more valuable simplicity becomes. Complexity can make you feel powerful, but it also blinds you to what really matters: human behavior. Every market, no matter how automated, still runs on emotion. Fear, greed, hesitation, confidence. These are constants that no algorithm can fully quantify. BNF understood that better than anyone. His approach wasn't about decoding formulas, it was about decoding people. True mastery in any field doesn't come from doing many things. It comes from doing one thing perfectly. BNF's strategy worked not because it was secret, but because it was consistent. He wasn't looking for magic indicators or shortcuts. He looked inward. He refined his edge until it became an extension of his personality. And that's where simplicity finds its ultimate form, when your method becomes a reflection of who you are. In trading, simplicity is often confused with being basic, but it's the exact opposite. Simplicity is the final stage of sophistication. It's what remains after you've tested every complex method, failed, learned, and stripped away everything unnecessary. It's not about being less smart. It's about being clear enough to see through the noise. That's why BNF stands as a reminder that you don't need the might of Wall Street to win. You need clarity. You need patience. You need simplicity, sharpened like a blade, precise and quiet. Because when everyone else is lost in complexity, chasing signals and theories, the one who truly understands what matters will always see the truth first. And in the end, that's what separates traders who survive from those who vanish. Complexity impresses people. Simplicity builds fortunes. In trading, the real battlefield isn't on the charts. It's inside your mind. The graphs, the numbers, the news. They're only reflections of something much deeper: emotion. Every candle you see rising or falling represents 1,000 decisions driven by fear or greed. And that's where BNF stood apart from Wall Street. He didn't just understand the market, he understood himself. His greatest edge wasn't superior data, or faster execution, or even more capital. It was emotional control. Wall Street runs on adrenaline. Traders in massive firms sit in rooms filled with flashing screens and echoing noise. The shouting, the typing, the pressure. Every minute brings a new headline. Every second a new fluctuation in price. It's a constant state of alert, like a battlefield without rest. In that environment, emotion is inevitable. Fear of missing out, fear of loss, greed for more. All of it swirls together into chaos. Even the smartest traders fall prey to it. They tell themselves they're logical, that numbers guide them. But in truth, emotion whispers behind every decision. A little hesitation here, a little overconfidence there, and millions can vanish in a heartbeat. BNF, on the other hand, lived in silence. No noise, no team, no external pressure. He traded alone, with no one to impress, no one to blame. In that solitude, he faced the most powerful opponent any trader can encounter: his own emotion. And over time, he mastered it. He didn't fight it by suppressing it. He studied it. He observed how his heart reacted to losses, how his thoughts changed after wins. He trained himself to stay calm when the market screamed, to stay patient when opportunity tempted him. That discipline, that internal balance, became his ultimate weapon. Emotional control in trading isn't about being cold or robotic. It's about awareness. The market is designed to make you feel something: excitement when prices rise, panic when they fall. Most traders act on those feelings. But BNF did the opposite. He treated emotion like data, something to observe, not obey. When fear spread through the market, he saw opportunity. When greed drove prices to absurd levels, he saw danger. His calmness wasn't natural, it was trained through years of self-discipline. This difference is what separates a gambler from a professional. Wall Street has endless resources. Teams of analysts, risk departments, algorithms to manage exposure. Yet, even with all that, traders still make irrational decisions under pressure. They double down after losses. They chase momentum after gains. That's because no external system can control internal emotion. BNF didn't need a team to manage risk. He was his own risk manager. Every move he made was deliberate, measured, and emotionally neutral. He once said that the key to his success wasn't in predicting the market, but in predicting his own behavior. Think about that for a moment. How rare that is. Most traders are slaves to reaction. BNF became a student of reaction. He asked himself, why did I buy here? Was it logic or fear? Why did I sell there? Was it analysis or panic? Those questions shaped his discipline more than any textbook ever could. Emotional control also gives something that algorithms can't replicate: intuition. Real intuition isn't guessing. It's pattern recognition built through thousands of hours of observation. When your mind is calm, you start to feel the market's rhythm. You notice when something feels off, when a move doesn't match the emotion behind it. That's the kind of awareness that only comes from a quiet mind. Wall Street's noise drowns it out, but BNF's silence amplified it. There's a story that during a volatile market crash, while traders everywhere were panicking, BNF sat watching his screen, completely still. The market was collapsing, and fear had taken over. But he didn't rush to sell or buy. He simply watched. He understood that panic always ends the same way: exhaustion, followed by opportunity. And when that moment came, when the last sellers gave up, he entered the market with calm precision and profited massively. That's emotional control in action, not reacting when the world demands reaction. Wall Street measures success by numbers. BNF measures it by composure. On Wall Street, you might hear traders brag about how much they made. BNF would rather talk about how long he waited. In that patience lies true strength, because anyone can make money once. But to do it consistently, you must first conquer yourself. Most traders think their biggest problem is the market, but it isn't. The market doesn't care. The real problem is the voice inside, the one that says, "You're missing out." The one that says, "Double it, it'll work this time." The one that panics when the price drops and celebrates too soon when it rises. BNF silenced that voice. He replaced emotion with observation, greed with discipline, and fear with patience. Emotional control is not about removing feeling. It's about recognizing it before it controls you. That's what BNF did differently from Wall Street. He didn't chase adrenaline, he chased alignment, the harmony between logic and emotion. When those two balance, trading stops being chaos. It becomes art. In the end, emotional control isn't just a skill for trading, it's a way of living. Markets will always rise and fall. Fortunes will be made and lost. But the person who can stay calm through both, that person never truly loses. BNF's story teaches us that the greatest profit a trader can earn isn't in dollars. It's in peace. The peace that comes when your mind stops fighting your heart and both begin to move in rhythm with the truth of the market. In 2005, Japan's financial world witnessed one of the most astonishing moments in trading history. A single clerical mistake that cost a major brokerage firm hundreds of millions of dollars and made one man, sitting quietly in his apartment, over 20 million richer in just a few minutes. That man was Takashi Kotegawa, better known as BNF. The event became legendary not because of luck, but because of how he handled it. This was not a story of chance, it was a story of clarity under pressure. The day began like any other. Tokyo's stock exchange was busy, alive with numbers and noise. Traders in offices across Japan were glued to their screens, chasing price movements and news updates. Then came the mistake. An employee at Mizuho Securities accidentally entered a sell order for 67,000 shares of J-Comco at 1 yen per share, instead of one share at 60,000 yen. It was an unimaginable blunder, a typo that instantly sent shockwaves through the market. Within seconds, chaos erupted. Stocks plunged, traders panicked, algorithms failed to process what was happening. To most, it looked like a disaster, but to BNF, it looked like opportunity. While everyone else was scrambling to understand the situation, he saw through the noise with surgical precision. He realized something vital. This wasn't a market crash. It was an error, a temporary distortion of value. And where others saw danger, he saw imbalance. Here's what separates a master from the masses: the ability to remain calm when the world loses its mind. BNF didn't react emotionally. He didn't rush in blindly. He observed. He confirmed his logic. Then he acted, quickly but calmly. He bought aggressively into the chaos, taking advantage of prices that no rational market should ever allow. Within minutes, as the system corrected itself, the prices rebounded, and his position exploded in value. The rest is history. Over 20 million in profit, earned not by prediction, but by clarity in crisis. Most traders dream of moments like that. The big opportunity, the perfect setup, the instant fortune. But very few can seize it. Why? Because when chaos hits, logic vanishes, fear takes over. People freeze or panic. They hesitate. They doubt themselves. But BNF had trained for years in silence to be ready for that exact moment. His preparation wasn't in memorizing data or following signals. It was in training his mind to stay calm under fire. This is where BNF's genius truly shines. The J-Com trade wasn't luck. It was the result of thousands of quiet hours studying human behavior, market rhythm, and emotional reaction. When others acted out of fear, he acted from understanding. He knew that panic always creates inefficiency, and inefficiency creates opportunity. His ability to separate logic from emotion turned a national blunder into personal triumph. Compare this to Wall Street's world. In New York, when a crisis hits, traders rely on systems, teams, and emergency protocols. Everyone talks at once, managers issue orders, analysts flood the room with information. The entire process becomes a performance of reaction. In that chaos, clarity gets buried under panic. On that same kind of day, a Wall Street trader might have been paralyzed by indecision or tangled in bureaucracy. BNF had none of that. His independence, once seen as a weakness, became his greatest strength. He didn't need to ask anyone for approval. He trusted his analysis, acted instantly, and reaped the reward. The J-Com incident revealed something deeper about the nature of trading success. It's not about having the most advanced tools or the biggest resources. It's about how clearly you can think when everyone else can't. That's what separates the extraordinary from the average. BNF's mind was steady when everyone else's was shaking. He didn't need to predict the market. He simply needed to stay rational while others lost their sense of reason. There's a saying in trading, "In chaos lies opportunity." But what people forget is that chaos also hides danger. Only those with discipline and calmness can tell the difference. The J-Com trade wasn't a gamble. It was the perfect blend of logic, courage, and control. BNF didn't jump in with greed, he acted with precision. That's why it worked. If he had been even slightly emotional, too fearful to enter, or too greedy to exit, the outcome could have been catastrophic. What made this moment so powerful wasn't just the profit, it was what it represented. It showed the world that one man alone, without the machinery of Wall Street, could outperform the system itself. It shattered the myth that success requires size or speed. It proved that clarity is the ultimate edge. Even years later, professional traders still talk about that day, not because of the numbers, but because it revealed the truth of trading psychology. Every great market move has two sides: chaos and clarity. Most people get lost in the first, a few find the second, and those few change their lives forever. BNF didn't just exploit a trading error, he demonstrated mastery of himself. When others drowned in confusion, he stood still. When others hesitated, he moved. That's the difference between reaction and control, between luck and skill. The 20 million he made was not the reward of luck. It was the reward of discipline meeting opportunity. And that's what every trader, every entrepreneur, and every dreamer must understand. Success doesn't come to the one who knows the most. It comes to the one who stays calm when it matters most. BNF's J-Com moment wasn't just a financial victory. It was a life lesson written in numbers. In chaos, the crowd loses itself. But the few who can see through the storm, who can think clearly while everyone else breaks, they don't just survive, they rise. Success, the word that everyone chases, but so few truly understand. On Wall Street, success is measured in millions, in quarterly reports, in the applause of shareholders. But for BNF, success has nothing to do with applause or luxury or status. It is quiet, simple, and deeply personal. The final difference between BNF and Wall Street lies here, in the meaning of success itself. What one measures in numbers, the other measures in mastery. Wall Street's version of success is external. It's visible. It's meant to impress. Traders compete not only for profits but for recognition, bigger bonuses, faster promotions, more prestige. They live in a culture that celebrates growth, size, and speed. A good quarter can make you a star, a bad one can end your career. It's a constant race, where even the winners are running from something: fear of failure, fear of irrelevance. Success in that world is loud. It's built on validation, not satisfaction. BNF's version of success couldn't be more different. He never cared about fame. He rarely gave interviews, avoided the spotlight, and never turned his trading achievements into a brand. To him, success wasn't about proving something to others. It was about understanding himself. His victories were quiet, almost invisible to the world. When he made millions, there was no celebration, no boasting. Just the same routine: studying, trading, learning. He once said that even after his biggest wins, he felt nothing, because he knew the next trade could humble him again. That's wisdom few can reach. This mindset defines the core difference between the Wall Street mentality and BNF's philosophy. Wall Street is driven by external competition. BNF is driven by internal perfection. One plays to win, the other plays to improve. One looks at others, the other looks inward. This is why his success lasted, because it wasn't built on ego, but on evolution. He didn't chase the market, he grew with it. Most people think success in trading means never losing, but BNF knew that's impossible. Losses are inevitable. What matters is how you handle them. Wall Street traders often fear loss because it affects reputation and bonuses. But BNF saw losses as teachers, feedback from the market, lessons disguised as pain. He studied every mistake, not to regret it, but to refine his understanding. That's why he survived where others burned out. He wasn't attached to money, he was attached to process. The truth is, success is deeply personal. For some, it's about financial freedom. For others, it's peace of mind. For BNF, it was mastery, mastering his craft, mastering his mind. He wasn't chasing wealth, he was chasing clarity. Every trade he made was an exercise in self-discipline. He didn't want to conquer the market. He wanted to conquer himself. That's what makes his story so powerful. If you think about it, BNF had everything Wall Street didn't: solitude, silence, and patience. He proved that you don't need skyscrapers, supercomputers, or elite degrees to succeed. You only need self-awareness and consistency. The simplicity of his life was his strength. He didn't need a lavish lifestyle to feel accomplished. His satisfaction came from progress, from becoming slightly better every single day. There's a poetic truth in that. Wall Street traders often measure time in quarters. BNF measured it in lessons. They chased growth charts, he chased understanding. They tried to outperform competitors, he tried to outperform himself. That's why his success endures in legend, because it's not tied to a moment or a market. It's timeless. His philosophy reminds us of an uncomfortable truth: money is only a mirror that reflects who you are. If you are greedy, money amplifies it. If you are disciplined, it amplifies that too. Wall Street magnifies the external, the image, the lifestyle, the scoreboard. BNF magnified the internal, the patience, the restraint, the logic. His success wasn't about how much he gained, but how much of himself he understood in the process. And that's the greatest form of freedom, to live and work by your own design, not society's definition. BNF didn't chase trends, he didn't seek validation, and he didn't fear being different. He proved that the most powerful position in the world is to not need to prove anything to anyone. In the end, the contrast is simple yet profound. Wall Street teaches you to conquer others, BNF teaches you to conquer yourself. Wall Street celebrates the visible, BNF honors the invisible. One is driven by recognition, the other by realization. And maybe that's the ultimate lesson, that true success is not about how the world sees you, but how clearly you see yourself. Because when you strip away the money, the markets, and the noise, success is no longer about winning trades. It's about winning control over your thoughts, your impulses, your fears. That's the kind of success that doesn't fluctuate with the market. It's permanent, it's inner wealth. So as the lights of Wall Street shine and fade, BNF's story still stands, quiet, timeless, and undefeated. It whispers a truth that most traders never hear: success isn't the size of your portfolio. It's the strength of your patience. It's the calmness of your mind. It's knowing that you don't need to chase the world, because you've already mastered yourself. And so, when the screens go dark, when the charts stop moving, and the noise of the market fades into silence, one truth remains: real success isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you master yourself. BNF and Wall Street. Two different worlds, two different paths, both chasing the same dream. One built on systems, the other on solitude. One powered by machines, the other by mindset. And while the world may remember Wall Street's skyscrapers, it will never forget the man in a small Tokyo apartment who proved that you don't need a crowd to win. You just need clarity, courage, and calm. Because in the end, trading isn't a battle against the market. It's a battle against your own emotions. And the ones who conquer that battle, they don't just make money, they make history. So remember this: the market rewards not the loudest, but the most disciplined; not the fastest, but the most focused. Be still when others rush. Be calm when others panic. Because sometimes the greatest power in the market is the power to wait.